Yeah, my name is Harry Kibler. I'm the founder of a little grassroots organization called RINO Hunt. Many of you may have heard about it. I can tell you that people in 35 states in the United States have already heard about it and become members. It's expanding very well. Jonathan invited me to talk about school choice, and I will get to that. But I want to start talking about some other things as well. Solar power does start with an S, so it's close to school choice. There is an article written in the Raleigh area called "Fleecing the Taxpayers and Ratepayers with Subsidized Solar Power." I won't read this article to you. I'll forward it to Jonathan, and maybe he can put it on his website or whatever. But up in Raleigh, North Carolina, it's not that far away from us, the state legislature created a bill, SB3, passed it, and this is an article about one of the folks that took advantage of this. They got subsidies to install solar power on their furniture plant. They build furniture. And I may get the numbers incorrectly because I'm just going to try to skim through it. But they got, I believe it here is $1.4 million of taxpayer money just to put the solar panels in. Bottom line is they put in a lot more solar panels than what they even needed to run their business. And now they're making over $1 million a year because they're selling power back to the power company, and it was funded and paid for by tax dollars. How does that tie into school choice? Well, your representative, or one of the representatives for the Anderson area, Representative Gambrell, there was a bill, the solar tax credit bill, H3346. Mr. Gambrell was one of the folks that voted in favor of that. The same scenario for South Carolina that's happening in North Carolina and other places around the country. We probably have all heard about the president, what was the name of the solar business? Solyndra, thank you. Gave lots of taxpayer money to this company. And what happened to it? Bankrupt.
I heard 35 million.
You know, the solar is no different than anything else. It's not free market if you have to take taxpayer money to subsidize it. If electric cars were so great, people would run out and buy them. But we have to subsidize it to get people to artificially control the market. This type of stuff is happening right here in South Carolina. Our state legislature is creating tax incentives for electric cars in South Carolina. Greenville County, my county, the county is putting in electric car charging stations using taxpayer money. They can charge up their car. My understanding is it's free to the user. Taxpayers are paying for it. Who's paying the power bill? It's for them to charge their car. And then let me ask you a question. Our roads are getting in pretty bad shape. SCDOT got a lot of problems going on right now. They say they're not collecting enough fuel tax to keep the roads up. Electric cars pay no fuel tax. So we're just compounding the problem because we've got too much government intervention in areas that they have no business being in. Mr. Gambrell also voted with the majority, I might add, to keep the South Carolina Conservation Bank in existence into perpetuity. It was supposed to sunset or go away in 2013. Mr. Gambrell was one of the yes votes to make sure that taxpayer money is taken to buy private property and put it into conservation. And there again, I'd like to ask a question. how many people would say that if you're driving down the road, especially if you're a male, I know I'm going to sound a little sexist here, but I guess it's the old-fashioned way. If you're a male, you're driving down the road and you see a lady that's got a flat tire, how many of you would say it's the right thing to do to stop and help? All right, chivalry's still around. If it's the right thing to do, would we need a representative to sponsor a bill to give a tax credit for everybody that you stop and help change their tire?
Well,
I mean, seriously. If it's the right thing to do,
amen.
why do we need a tax credit to do it?
Don't point at me.
No.
You go away.
So, if conservation of land is a good thing, I'll let everybody be the decider of that. I don't have a problem with if this gentleman or anybody in here wants to conserve their land, put self-imposed limitations of what can be done on property that they own. I think constitutionally they've got the right to do that. So why does it take taxpayer money to get them to decide to do what they believe is a good thing? Mr. Gambrell thought that was a good idea. Put this down. We had a school choice bill. This is what Jonathan invited me to talk about. School choice bill, which, by the way, I don't want to see any hands as far as who's Republican, who's independent, but school choice is one of the planks of the Republican Party platform. It came within just a couple of votes of being a reality in the South Carolina House. Now, it still would have had to have gotten through the Senate. But Republicans teamed together to cut off debate on the school choice bill and to kill it. They didn't say that they didn't like the bill the way it was written, and it could have been written better, because that's what the process of debate is all about. Taking something that's not great and making it, or something that's good and making it better. We all do that constantly with ideas that we come up with. I may have a good idea, and I'll call Jonathan and a half a dozen other of my friends that I can trust. And by the time that we're finished discussing it, we've taken what started out as a good idea, and we've turned it into a great idea. But these folks stuck together to actually kill it so that it could not come up for a final vote and pass. Mr. Gambrell was one of those votes. Mr. Gambrell, I believe, tried to highlight some stuff here so that I would keep it straight. Yes. How many of you know about Mr. Thomas Weich up in the Greenville area? If you think favorably of Mr. Weich, keep your hand up. Mr. Weich is an environmentalist. He is one of the people that constantly lobby our county governments and our state government to put more and more restrictions and regulations on not only businesses, but homeowners. I think just about all of our South Carolina House voted yes on a House resolution to recognize and honor C. Thomas Weich of Greenville, distinguished attorney, civic leader, and environmentalist, for his tireless work spanning more than 40 years to conserve the natural beauty and lands and waters of South Carolina. First of all, I don't think, it's personal opinion, I don't think there's any place for resolutions of congratulations in our South Carolina state legislature. You all may disagree with that, and that's fine. My wife and I can't even agree on what temperature to keep our thermostat set on. But our legislature is there to protect our rights as citizens of South Carolina. That's what government is for, is to protect rights. And when I see even my own representatives and my own senators sponsoring resolutions to congratulate such and such girls softball team for winning the state championship or this or that, I see right through it. This is a way to ingratiate yourself to the people that get a chance to vote for them. It's kind of like bringing home the bacon, but you can't eat it. You know? So I'm opposed to the resolutions for this kind of stuff across the entire board. But when you're going to congratulate somebody who is one of the leaders of bringing additional regulation to business in South Carolina and property owners in South Carolina, I find it additionally distasteful to honor somebody. It would be like, hey, how about Sunday honoring those who were freedom fighters that flew those planes into the buildings? That would be distasteful. What they did was wrong. And most of what Brad Weiss is doing with his environmental activism is also wrong. But our legislature chose to honor him. And I think it's time to draw a line in the sand, who we honor and who we don't. School choice. The reason I shared all that is because Mr. Gambrell did not just vote wrong on school choice. He's got a track record of voting wrong on a lot of important issues. RINO Hunt teamed up with several other grassroots organizations, including the Spartanburg Tea Party. Most of you have heard about the notorious Spartanburg Six. The Spartanburg Six are 6 representatives from Spartanburg County that kind of banded together, and my research shows that they band together a lot on a lot of issues, and those issues violate the party platform consistently. So RINO Hunt and a lot of other grassroots organizations decided we're going to cause them a little grief and some heartburn. We're going to go into their districts, and we have access, just like a candidate running for office, we have access to the voter database. The very voters that get to vote in the primaries for these representatives. And we took 3 weekends and chose 3 of the 6. We're going to go back to the other 3 later on in the fall and probably even through the winter. But we went into their districts, to their voters, with palm cards, oversized postcards, color produced, professionally done, and exposed their voting record. They didn't like it. One of them actually showed up in the parking lot the morning that we were gathering, getting ready to disperse into teams, and we had an average of 45 to 60 people on all 3 of those occasions, and probably handed out somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 to 2,000, maybe even 2,200 homes personally delivered to. Now, we didn't take time to knock on doors. That wasn't what we were there for. But we went to their voters and exposed their record. RINO Hunt, Jonathan, can you help me with this? We always take things to the extreme. So now, anytime that any one of the Spartanburg 6 shows up to do a public event, this is hanging outside of where their event is at. Not conservative, not Republicans, and we can do better. Folks, this is having an impact. Not just this, not just RINO Hunt, but the grassroots people showing up and getting in their face. And I guarantee you, I've already been told by some folks that have to work with these 6. 4 of the 6, I have been told, have already said, pray to God that issue comes up again at the beginning of the session. I'm voting in favor of it. It will make a difference. What we really want to do is challenge as many of these folks as possible in the upcoming primary. We're working on a lot of different ideas to not only garner candidates, credible conservative candidates that we can count on, but RINO Hunt is coming out with a plan to take RINO Hunt on the road. And what I mean by that is across the entire state, we have identified a minimum of 5 South Carolina state senators that need to be replaced in 2012. That list will probably expand to 7, maybe 9, but a definite 5. We've identified 10 South Carolina state representatives that need to be replaced in 2012. Mr. Gambrell is one of them. So anybody that lives in his district, let him know. It won't take him long to find out. What Rhino Hunt is going to do is we're going to work with other grassroots organizations, and we're going to go into their neighborhood with a phase one, and that is to come in with a vehicle, basically a rolling billboard, with all the minimum of 15 people that we plan to replace in 2012, with their pictures, poster-sized pictures on a rolling billboard, overlaid on that in like a light silver number, the number 30 or 27 or 33 or 40. And when we come in, it will be a pre-planned thing. There will be a crowd of folks there. We'll get somebody like Dr. Fanning to give a motivational speech of something that we can agree on, like tax reform. And these folks whose pictures are on the rolling billboard are some of the very opponents of true comprehensive tax reform. After somebody like Mike Fanning speaks, and the crowd understands a message that we can get behind, whether it be me or another person, we'll start explaining what this rolling billboard is. For example, I said about like the number 30 or 27 or 37 or whatever that's likely over top of their picture. No, they're not race car drivers. That's the number of years that these people have been in Columbia. Every one of the folks that's on this target list have been there for 30 plus years. And we wonder why South Carolina is always the last in the nation for just about everything that we do. Could it possibly be the leadership that we've got in Columbia? I think the answer is yes. And I think until grassroots folks find at least one thing that they can work together and come together and compile their energy and effort and build that synergy, we're going to continue to be last in the nation. And it's my hope that after 2012, I'd like to see Rhino Hunt be able to fold up and for me to get back to a normal life. I've got a nice camper, slide outs the whole 9 yards. I've got a nice boat. It's old, but it's nice. My boat was not in the water last year at all. It was in the water once the year before. Our camper was out of the yard once last year, and I believe none this year. I want to get back to a normal life. And if I've got to roll up my sleeves and work my tail off for the next 18 months to make a difference in Columbia, I'm willing to do it. Are you willing to help? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank you for your sacrifice.
Thank you.